This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's going to be Packers and Bears on Sunday, and what is a massive matchup. Not only the two teams battling for first place in the NFC North, the top seed in the NFC is also up for grabs. If the playoffs started today, the NFC would run through Chicago. This is easily the most anticipated game between the two rivals in a very long time, but Coach Matt LaFleur isn't trying to overhype it.
To be honest with you, I don't really put too much thought into that. I think that, I think it's a cool for the fans, and certainly when you have two good teams, and obviously Chicago's the number one team in the NFC right now. So, this should be a great game.
Only three players weren't practicing for the Packers today: Savion Williams, Lucas Van Ness, and Devontae Wyatt. Wyatt done for the year with an ankle injury. Kick on Sunday is set for 3:25 at Lambeau Field. Meanwhile, the team's game in 2 weeks was flexed to Sunday Night Football, that one at Soldier Field. Turning to the Badgers, it is National Signing Day for them. Wisconsin's struggles on the field this year have hurt them off of it, as the class is expected to be among the lowest rated in the Big Ten. One key player, three-star quarterback Ryan Hopkins out of Southern California, who chose the Badgers over a double-digit number of offers, including UCLA and Washington.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, it's game day for the Wisconsin basketball team. They're going to be taking on Northwestern tonight. The Big Ten opener for both teams. Tip is at 8. And the Bucs also back in action tonight as the Pistons come to Fiserv Forum. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
9-13 overall. They just lost a 16-point lead to the Washington Wizards on Monday. And I'm told Giannis Antetokounmpo has been frustrated over the recent losing, but so have John Horst, the general manager, Doc Rivers, the head coach. There's been a lot of frustration within that Bucs organization over the losing, and also a sense of tension around the locker room about what this means for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I had one source even tell me and describe the situation as the writing on the wall for what's to come with Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was sold potentially on a championship vision by John Horst and Doc Rivers, returned, recommitted to this team. But this is a situation where this Bucs organization could be faced with serious consequences depending on how the season continues to play out.
Okay. What you're asking me is his viewpoint, will his viewpoint change? I don't know. I know that he asked for a trade, and then he said, okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year. I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Sham Charania on ESPN earlier today, and Brian Windhorst on ESPN Cleveland. I need to know the context behind why he was on ESPN Cleveland talking about Giannis today. I guess it doesn't really matter. Sorry, apologies, by the way, for subjecting you to 50 seconds of Sham Charania or whatever that was. You'd think for someone who talks on television as much as he does, and by the way, talks about Giannis on television as much as he does, you'd think he'd be better at it. It's like listening to a Walkman where the CD is all scratched up. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bill. It's like, dude, you're just be slightly better at I don't maybe it's just my brain. Maybe it's just me. It's like nails on a chalkboard. So I guess we got to start by talking about Giannis tonight. It's not what I was planning on. I actually had a whole bevy of great Packers topics, some good audio from Matt LaFleur earlier today. We got a great guest, Arif Hasan, one of my favorites, coming up at 4:35. Freddy Peralta was mentioned in a Ken Rosenthal story earlier today. One of my favorite things to do is to read from the book of Ken Rosenthal. But the Giannis thing seems legit enough to talk about, where I'm probably not doing my job if we don't talk about it. And I don't mean to downplay it. Giannis is one of the most important athletes in Wisconsin, maybe the most important, right up there with Jordan Love. And I don't know if there's a Brewer. Jackson Churio, probably, yeah. I don't mean to downplay the story. I don't like doing this. Like, what did Sham say this week? Oh, what did he say this? It exhausts me. But I suppose there are days where I have to fill my my duty, my obligation as a Wisconsin sports opinionist broadcaster. So we'll cover the story of the day. I'll take your calls on this in the next segment. If you have anything to add, 608-321-1670, and the live stream is up and running. You can comment on there, watch, listen along on the Wisco Sports Zone app and all the platforms on which the show streams. Otherwise, the majority of the rest of the show will probably still be football, a little Brewers thing too. I'll give you my thoughts on what's going on with the Bucks and with Giannis. And if you have anything to add, we can do that. And if not, we can move on. So the rest of the show is kind of up to you, but this is certainly the story of the day. We haven't talked a lot about the Bucks. Haven't really talked a lot about Giannis and his continued membership, I guess, of the Bucks, whether or not he will stay, whether or not he's getting antsy, whether or not he will ask out. They lost, how many games in a row was it? 8 or 9. And he got hurt. They looked horrible without him. And then he came back and they blew a 16-point lead to the Wizards the other night, which we didn't really talk about because the NFL has been going on and it's football season. And the Packers just won a huge game. They have another huge divisional game coming up this weekend that'll have implications for the top of the NFC North and for playoff seeding and all that. So Giannis hasn't really made the show. And honestly, I don't know that it's been front of mind for a lot of Bucks fans. The games, yes. Giannis's continued employment by the Bucks, I'm not sure. I wouldn't blame you because we've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years now, where every couple of weeks there's some tweet or there's some post, and you just kind of start to get tone deaf to it all. We've all heard the parable, the boy who cries wolf, right? That whole thing. Shams' tweet today, and I'll just read it. And by the way, he posted a full story at ESPN.com. I read the story. There's nothing really in the story that isn't conveyed in this tweet, but this is from Shams earlier this afternoon. Just in, Giannis do you want me to read this like Shams would? We don't have all night. I'll just read it like a normal human being. Just in, Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent, Alex Saratis, I'm not sure how to say it's Greece, have started conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks about the two-time NBA MVP's future and discussing whether his best fit is staying elsewhere, sources tell ESPN. A resolution is expected in the coming weeks. Well, let me get out my calendar. Let me block off the coming weeks to make sure we're locked into all of Shams reporting at ESPN. Here's why I haven't really reacted strongly to every single Shams. I mean, listen to this. They have started conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks about his future and discussing whether his best fit is staying or elsewhere. The reason this doesn't really do a whole lot for me, and the tweet that came out months ago didn't do much for me, and the tweets that came out last offseason didn't do much for me, is they're all the same. Like every single one of these little blurbs and these little reports and these little tweets, they're all the same. They're having conversations. They've started discussions about his future, about whether it's here or that. It's the same. It's been the same for years. And I think a lot of Bucks fans have gotten so tired of this. And I'm not speaking for everyone here, but I can speak to some of you who have called and engaged with this show or Bill's show, of which I am the executive producer from 10 to 2. I'm the only producer, but that means I get to pick my title. The executive producer. People have said, guys, this whole thing kind of turns me off of the NBA. I just want to watch my Bucks and I want to watch Giannis. And people have been saying since before the pandemic, which by the way, is almost 6 years ago now. 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Jeez. Been that long? It's been going on that long. I'm like, I don't know. Giannis behind the scenes is having discussion. They're always having discussion. They're always discussing. They're always chatting. They're always exploring. Like, it's been going on for over half a decade now. And he's still here. And he might leave this season. And he might leave next season. He might leave the season after. In fact, let me play you the full Brian Windhorst comment. This is again from ESPN Milwaukee earlier today, because this further exemplifies what I'm trying to say when I think so many Bucks fans have just gotten tired of this. Like, we've been told for 5 or 6 years now that he might leave, and he still hasn't left, and I'm just kind of sick of it. And I'm just over it. I'm over everyone in the media constantly circling and everybody in NBA media constantly saying the Bucks should just trade him and Giannis should ask out. Like, I'm just tired of this thing. Whereas if no one had reported or done any of this over the last 5 or 6 years, nothing would be different, and we would just get to watch our favorite team and our favorite basketball player play basketball. I think so many people have been turned off by this. This is 60 seconds. Brian Windhorst, a much better speaker. Thank God. This is him on ESPN Milwaukee earlier today, or ESPN Cleveland, excuse me.
The Bucks called the Knicks and asked for an offer for Giannis. Okay?
Which we kind of knew, we knew that there was a call between the Bucks and the Knicks. That's not nothing new. That was reported.
Because Giannis said, I want to be a Knick. So people were like, oh my God, he deleted a photo from May where he had a Bucks logo. Guys, he asked to be traded already.
So that this is honestly maybe the only reason other than the Shams tweet we're talking about this today. That's new. That's new. That's novel reporting as of today. We knew that there were discussions because there have been discussions. There's always discussions. The Bucks they might as well do. John Horst and Bucks ownership and Giannis might as well just set up bunk beds in a conference room at Fiserv Forum because they're always discussing. It's been going on for years. That's nothing new. And we knew that there was a call between the Knicks. They kicked it around. I don't know that the assets or the fit ever really made much sense for reasons that were discussed. Windhorst saying he already asked for a trade. Well, that's either new reporting and something that's a big deal. I'm a little curious as to why that reporting was held on until now, or it's a radicalization or a dramatization of information we already knew. We knew that there was a call between him and the Knicks, and we knew there were discussions because, again, there's always discussions. It's just our life is one big discussion until we die, which hopefully happens soon because I'm tired of this. But Windhorst saying he already requested a trade, well, that's either new or you are very dramatically and incorrectly framing something that we already knew. Okay, here's more from Brian Windhorst.
So when's it going to happen?
Well, that's the thing. So
well, isn't that the thing? When's it going to happen? Well, okay, well, that's the thing.
But what appears is that Giannis committed himself for the season to the Bucks. That's what appeared.
It does appear that way as he is currently playing basketball for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Happened. Everything he said in his mood.
And the fact that, again, what he said in his mood, and he's playing basketball currently for the Milwaukee Bucks. It appears both in spirit and in reality that is the case, yes.
But the Bucks are not good. This year, when he hasn't played, they're 1-5. And when he has played, they're 9-8. So they've been 500 when he's played, and when he hasn't played, they've been getting raced. What you're asking me is his viewpoint, would his viewpoint change? I don't know. I know that he asked for a trade, and then he said, okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year. I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
So that's the part that actually makes me upset. For the most part, I've been able to tune all the Giannis stuff out. It's like, look, if he ultimately asked for a trade, they won their title with him. I don't think you can find any leaf that went unturned or any stone that went unturned, any button that went unpushed. And we've talked about this. I think the Bucks have done just about anything in their power, everything in their power with every single asset available to them to try to keep this thing going. So if Giannis asks for a trade tomorrow, I'm not going to lay awake in bed at night thinking if only the Bucks had done this or if only they had done that. Now, there's some questions. I'll always bring up the 2022 team, which I think was better than the title team. You know, what if Chris Middleton hadn't gotten hurt? Sure, but that's out of anybody's control. It's just a wet spot on the floor at the United Center. That's what that was. I'll sleep like a baby if Giannis asks for a trade tomorrow. I'll be bummed, but all right, dude, good luck. I guess this is done. Won the title in 2021, which was awesome. And I would imagine when I pass away will be one of the most important, significant, memorable sporting events of my life. So we'll always have that. So I've mostly been able to tune this stuff out, and I've mostly been able to ignore it. I think a lot of Bucks fans have it because you have to. What other choice do you have? You're supposed to walk around every single day. You see what Sham said? You see what Windhorst said? You see what your head would explode if you existed that way. So I think a lot of Bucks fans have been able to tune this stuff out. But it's actually that thing that gets under my skin. The last thing that Windhorst said.
A lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
Okay. So do we just get to keep doing this? Do we get to go into every offseason saying, I think Giannis might request a trade? And then he doesn't, and then we get into the season, and then we get to say, okay, but most people don't think he will be next year. Okay, so do we just keep doing this until he eventually does? Like that seems a little disingenuous. It's exhausting first and foremost, but also it seems disingenuous. Like you can't keep being the guy. The world's gonna end tomorrow. Never mind, it's gonna end tomorrow. Actually, I was wrong. It's gonna end next week. Like that thing annoys me. The rest of this, for the most part, just really rolls off my back. They won their title. The Bucks have done just about everything in their power, including I think some things that maybe they would rather have not done, but they did it to please Giannis. The solid reporting on the Adrian Griffin hire still really isn't there. I know a lot of people are like, well, that was a Giannis hire. And then John Horst wanted Kenny Atkinson, but then they settled for Doc Rivers because Jimmy Haslam wanted, which, look, if it helps you sleep at night blaming Jimmy Haslam for things, knock yourself out. I think as the everyman, we should be able to blame Jimmy Haslam for whatever we don't like. Like, yeah, hang it around his neck like he's the Christmas tree. Go off. I don't know that that's ever been confirmed. And some people, like I always see Paul Henning on Twitter, like, well, I've heard, from people. Okay, sure, maybe. But Shams or Eric Name or Woj when he was doing it, like, I don't remember the report that ever came out where it's like the Bucs wanted coach A, but Jimmy Haslam wanted this guy and he got his way. I don't think they wanted to hire Adrian Griffin. That seemed to be Giannis's guy. And then I would imagine Giannis didn't want him anymore. I can't imagine Giannis was like, please keep Adrian Griffin. And the Bucs were like, no, F you. I highly doubt that's how that would have gone. So again, I think the Bucs have done everything that they possibly could and made decisions that maybe even were detrimental to the long-term future. Well, certainly detrimental to the long-term future, but even maybe detrimental to the here and now to appease Giannis. And if he ends up leaving, I'm like, okay. It's not like Rodgers where it's like, well, they could have traded for Marshawn Lynch that one time, or they could have drafted a wide receiver. Like, no, I have no regrets about the way they handled the Giannis era, and they won a title. But man, it's just the constant pecking from people like Shams. And I like Windhorst. I generally find him to be reasonable and interesting, and I don't think he's sensationalist. And I think when people like make fun of him for being the LeBron guy, I think that's kind of unfair. People make fun of him for being fat. I mean, whatever. If you want to do that, I guess that's your thing. I don't really care. I generally like Windhorst. This kind of stuff, this is the thing that exhausts me. This is the one thing that I will not let roll off my back.
A lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
Well, okay, even if he stays now, like next year, people are like, okay, we've been doing this since like the pandemic, man. So if we just get to keep kicking this can down the road, like you guys are eventually going to be right, probably. Because most players don't finish their career in the same spot they started. So that annoys me. But again, does it really matter? So I'll keep watching the Bucs, and we'll keep following them. And I guess with every little nugget that comes out. And again, guys, breaking news from Shams today. They're having discussions. And I think Giannis is complicit in this as well. Like he's had opportunities to completely and totally shut it down. He hasn't. I also think he's had opportunities in the playoffs to be a little bit better, and he hasn't. The Wizards the other night, what, you blew a 16-point lead to the horrible Wizards because, what, Gary Harris wasn't available or whatever? Like, Giannis, come on, man. Like, you can have a bad game, and that's fine, but you can't have a bad game or a bad fourth quarter and then be like, oh, the Bucs are not doing enough. Like, I don't know. Sometimes we're complicit in the shortcomings of our own endeavors. Like, come on now. So for the most part, this has not really derailed my day. It is breaking news on some level because Shams and Windhorst both had a little thing on it, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. I'm not telling you, Giannis could request a trade tomorrow. I'm not telling you won't. I'm just saying we've been doing this for so long. It's just like, all right, if it's going to happen, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be watching basketball and watching football, and things will be status quo because this has been the status quo now for the better part of probably more than half a decade, even going back to before the pandemic, which is quite a long time ago now. I'll take your thoughts on this on the other side if you have anything to add. And then Arif Hasan going to join us. We'll switch over to football at 4:35. 608-321-1670. That's the number. I'll connect with you next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Get your phone calls here in but a moment. Arif Hasan, wide left. He's worked for The Athletic. He's covered the Minnesota Vikings. Just one of the sharper football people. Love having him on the show. Get a kick out of him. He'll be here in about 10 minutes. Talk Packers and NFC North. Freddy Peralta was mentioned in a Ken Rosenthal story today. If you even care. I love reading from the book of Ken Rosenthal. We'll do that in the second hour of the show. Bill Michaels Huddle at 6 o'clock, so a lot to look forward to. But first, your thoughts on any of this Giannis business. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
We love recurring questions in sports talk radio.
That is Vagabond John.
This is good. I mean, every 4 years you get to ask, is this the generation for the U.S. men's soccer team after beating Ecuador? Are they the team on home turf that are going to bring us over the edge? Or, every 4 years as well, is this the election that's going to be the most important of our lifetimes and end everything? And then you get the annual ones, right? Like, when we were growing up, Grant, will Favre retire this year?
Yep.
Stay tuned, right? Can Greg Gard win a tournament game?
Well, let's stick to fair, reasonable questions here. Let's not. Yes, but you were correct.
I got to be honest. I'm with you. I listened to last night's show, Delayed, right? You got into Wisconsin football recruiting briefly. I tuned in to a live show this afternoon, briefly listened for about 5 minutes, vomited, turned on other sports talk radio, and then heard Giannis talk, vomited again. And I'm like, is this hell for your average listener that's like, I just don't care?
Well, Marshawn Lloyd spoke with the media today. He's back at practice, so that's the other alternative, I guess, for you.
We get to talk about Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
What a week. I mean, I'm thankful for the Packers, right? I am a little nervous about Greg Gard and that Badger team. I got a side eye on them. The panic button, what do you say? It was buried out back, but now we're looking at the shovel in the corner of the room. I think we're looking at the shovel. That's where I'm at with this team.
I mean,
you're not?
No. And first of all, Vagabond John, this is a great call. I just got two more that I want to get to. And if they have thoughts on this Giannis thing, no, I would like to see a little bit of conference play. The team, half the roster changes over every year. So I need a little time. Did I talk Badger recruiting last night? When did that happen? I have no memory of that. By the way, they lost a running back. They lost Amari Latimer to West Virginia today. I thought they were losing him to Ohio State. And also, Luke Fickell recognizing in his presser today, like, yeah, we're going to have to be heavier in the portal. Wasn't really the idea when you got here. But them's the breaks, I guess. More on that later, and we'll get Jesse Temple later in the week. He's at that presser today, and he'll be here a little bit delayed this week for his spot, so we can cover all this. But more of your Giannis calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Alex in Madison.
Hey, Alex, what's up?
Hey, I think I agree with you. It's really tiring hearing this talk nonstop, and then they say, oh, a lot of people around the league are saying this. Well, a lot of people probably can't point out where Canada is on a map, okay? So I don't understand how that's evidence for some of these guys. You know what I mean?
I just am exhausted with okay, he didn't leave this time, but probably next year. It's like, okay, well, maybe. But but man, you're just describing a calendar. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you're doing. Like, yes, sometimes players leave. You can't just say, well, next year he might. Well, no kidding. Like, that's how you're just describing the calendar to me. You're not giving me any reporting now, Alex.
Right, and this is sort of a theory of mine. I don't know how many people agree on this, but I wonder, too, with, like, ESPN and a lot of these guys, if they just really want to see him in a bigger market. I mean, I remember when we knew the finals were coming to town in Milwaukee in 2021, I think it was Stephen A. Smith. He was like, oh, you know, I don't want to go to Milwaukee for these finals. Like, this city sucks.
Terrible city, I believe was his wording. Yeah.
Right. He said terrible city. And so it almost just feels like it's been an attack over, you know, these 6 years. They were like, oh, he's going to go to the Heat. And it didn't happen.
No, never even was close with it. And Alex, I think you're right. I'm going to let you go because I want to get to one more person here. I am not a disenchanted NBA fan. I'm an NBA fan that would like to feel like the regular season games matter a little bit more, and I want stars to play more, and I think there's issues with the game. I am not someone who's like, I've been turned off because the national media keeps picking on Giannis in Milwaukee. I'm not that guy. But if you are, like, you're well within your right to feel that way. This is exhausting, man. This has been going on for years, and it's just, what did Alex say, an attack? I'll say an assault. It's just one barrage after another where it's like, hey, you guys, like, Giannis might leave one day, but it's a little silly and exhausting. Just be like, well, okay, this offseason, no, but I mean, already start talking about next offseason. It's like, don't you guys have anything to do? You know, you're not describing Giannis's situation to me. You're just explaining the calendar. Well, he might leave next year. Nobody thinks he's going to stay after this year.
A lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
That's just the calendar. You're just describing the Mayan or whatever calendar we use. I don't even know. You're just describing January, February, March, April, May, June. I know how that works. Do you have any reporting for me? And I guess Shams gave us a little bit today. They're having discussions. Man, they've been having discussions since 2018. Now, if this trade request comes, Alex, one more thing, and then I'll get to our final call. I just want to prepare everyone. The narrative will turn very quickly from the Bucks should just trade Giannis and start their rebuild. It will the narratives and the talking points. Narrative is kind of a lazy word, but the talking points will go from the Bucks should trade Giannis for a haul and start the rebuild to, well, I mean, how old is Giannis? He's actually not really worth that much. Like, I'm already dreading that thing. All right, one more call here. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. I think Windy might be onto something by saying next year. That's only about a month away. So, you know, we could see a Giannis trade in the next 30 calendar days.
Also, the annoying thing, Cone, is like, I would have loved this content in the summer, in the offseason. Or this content could hit us at the NBA trade deadline. I don't need this right now. We have football to discuss. Like, if Giannis was this much on the edge, like, he's well within his right to leave if he wants. He's delivered a championship. He's done plenty for Milwaukee. But, man, like, make up your mind and just do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to turn on him for that reason, but it's a little obnoxious.
A little Aaron Rodgers-esque,
A little bit.
I will say. I'm ready to move off of this ride. I mean, the Bucks are going nowhere this year.
Feels that way.
And as a Bucks fan that doesn't watch any games, now I won't feel guilty missing one of the best players, you know, in league history. So it frees up my guilt at least. And Vagabond John looking at the panic button before Big Ten play.
Thank you. Insane. It's insane. It's insane. Half of these guys just got here. Cone. Some of these players still haven't probably had a dumpling at Paul's or whatever. I mean, they've just begun their Madison experience. We're not judging this team yet.
Yeah, half these kids probably haven't smoked pot in a dorm room yet.
Yeah. By the way, burn popcorn in your dorm if you're going to do it. We got a tour. The first week I was at the dorm, the RAs gave us a tour, and one of the nice woman RAs was like, guys, please don't. But if you're going to just like burn a bag of popcorn, it's not hard. Maybe this year's transfer portal class was taught a little bit better than maybe Gus Bus was in the past. Screw that guy.
Yeah, I hope so. But it seems like he's balling out at Vermont. I'm sure Tony in Texas knows the coach through AAU connections or something. So
I'm sure. I appreciate it, Cone. I didn't need this Giannis thing. This is me definitely putting the me in media now. I didn't need this today. We have Packers things to discuss. Part of me was just like, Giannis, if you didn't believe in this team, if you didn't think that this collection of players and this coach is going to do it, ask out in the offseason, man. Like, don't drag this out. Don't Michael Scott this and hide in your office. Just do it. I actually think a large portion of the fan base will be bummed, but we won a championship. A couple MVPs, best era of Bucks basketball in many of our lifetimes. Like, it'll be okay. But this, every couple of months, there's discussions. Okay, well, take your discussions and stick it up the inside of my ass. Like, I started to tune this stuff out. I don't care. Arif Hasan, wide left, his Substack is outstanding. He does a lot of podcasting, which is very, very good. He had a podcast moment last week. It's one of my favorite bits of media I've consumed. I'm not exaggerating, in 2025, so I'll play that for you as well. We'll talk Packers, NFC North, a little bit of JJ McCarthy, because I'm curious about how he feels about some of the dynamics across the river, across the St. Croix in the Mississippi, over in Egan at the TCF, whatever. We'll just talk NFL with Arif Hasan next. I just go to break. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. The Bill Michaels Huddle coming up at 6 o'clock. So we have a long night of programming here all across the network. I was hoping to lead the show with Jayden Reed's imminent return and the nice impact he can have on the offense, but we had to have Shams Charania report something about Giannis today. So that's what we began the show with. I do want to transition into football. Arif Hasan, whose Substack is excellent. It's wide left. He's worked at The Athletic, and he's covered the Vikings. He joins us now. Arif, I have to tip my cap to you. It's nice to see you again.
You too.
You were part of, I think this is one of my favorite pieces of media that I've seen in 2025. If I'm correct, this is you on the Locked On Vikings podcast with Luke Braun and Cam Ekstrom. And it's a 13-second clip. And for those watching on the stream, you'll see it, but our radio audience will just hear it. I'll just roll this clip. It's one of my favorite things.
You really can't do much worse. Now, we said this last year, and maybe it could happen again.
That's Sam. You can always do worse.
It can always.
That's the rule. It's like the rule.
Always get worse.
It can always get worse. And then Max Broswer started. That was the sequencing, right? That was the week before Max Broswer takes over. And
that clip is actually, I think, from a year ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought it was before the Broswer started. I mean, it's still funny.
Yeah, we did say that. It's just it's one of the kind of the most common things I say, honestly.
Yeah,
is that it could always get worse. I'm constantly hearing from fans, why don't we do X, Y, Z thing? It couldn't get worse. And I'm like, hey, I promise you, it can always get worse. I promise you, because I remember when fans were calling for Drew Samia. This is like 2013? I don't know, 2015. They're calling for Drew Samia to start at guard because the interior line play for the Vikings had been so bad that they wanted this 5th round rookie from Oklahoma to just start. And they're like, well, it couldn't possibly get worse than the current state of Vikings guard play. After all, they're dead last in like PFF grade or whatever. And the Vikings didn't choose to start Drew Samia. They were forced to by injury. It was that kind of year. And Drew Samia starts, and lo and behold, it got worse.
It got worse.
And so ever since then, I've been reminding Vikings fans, it can always get worse. And so they're like, why not start Max Brosmer? He looks so good in the preseason. Why not start? So I've been saying, the whole time, while this JJ McCarthy crash out has been happening in Vikings media, this whole time I've been saying, look, I am at the forefront of saying this guy is playing really bad football. Don't get me wrong. But I promise you the Vikings have and it's not because they're overly invested in their 1st round pick. That's not the reason. I promise you they have a reason that they're not playing this undrafted free agent from quarterback powerhouse University of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I promise you there's a reason that this New Hampshire transfer isn't playing. I promise
you. Transferred down from the SEC to have an opportunity to play. Like, no, that's not it either.
And like, it happens, right? Josh Allen went to like Butte or not. It was Aaron Rodgers went to like Butte, right? Like, it happens, but that's not what's happening. That's clearly not what's happening.
It reminds me. So I talk so much Brewers baseball in the summer, and it's just a helpless. They're fun, they're competitive. They're in the mix. They're smart, but they've just never won anything, and they'll have a horrible loss. It's like, that's the worst loss of the year, and we're always like, so far it's the worst loss of the year. It can always get worse. So that's where my mind went. I do want to ask you about the Packers in the North, but I do want your thoughts on the Vikings. How do you judge the work that's been done by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell and the decision makers and the big picture guys in the franchise? How do you judge and draw conclusions on those guys when the quarterback play has just been a non-starter?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is you kind of have to segment the evaluations that you're making. So you have to figure out well, what are the jobs of these guys? How can we parse out the different jobs that they have? So Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the large job is to acquire talent. Well, the Vikings have a talented roster, I think, anyway. They're not doing well, but they have a talented roster, right? And so how do we acquire talent? Well, we can trade for players, we can draft players, we can acquire players in free agency and in undrafted free agency. Well, how much of his job is related to that? How is he doing each of those individual jobs, right? And for the most part, I mean, he's killing free agency. He's so good at free agency. And he does a really good job at undrafted free agency, which the GM doesn't have. It's like a lot of area scouts doing, but like whatever, right? He's killing undrafted free agency. He's killing professional free agency.
The UFL guy or the SFL guy that I always hear about when I watch Vikings.
Yeah, Jayden Redmond, who's having a killer season. He's legitimately already a top 20 defensive tackle in the NFL, in my opinion. Could be better. I think I'm underselling it, but like other opposing coaches, they tell the broadcast team beforehand. I think was the Eagles coaches and the Lions coaches were both like, we have to watch out for this Jayden Redmond guy. So free agency is going well, right? They acquired Jonathan Grenard, they acquired Andrew Van Ginkel, they acquired Blake Cashman. These are outstanding players. But the drafting is how we typically think of GMs. That's not going really well. Obviously, that played a significant role when it came to acquiring a quarterback. That's JJ McCarthy, but also some of the stuff that we think that they're good at, like, I don't know about trading for players that, obviously the TJ Hawkinson trade worked out. Some of the other trades haven't worked out, whatever. But the trading for players hasn't worked out. The Adam Thielen thing, kind of a disaster there. But like they traded for Sam Howell, who, as you might know, is not on the roster.
Where is he now? Seattle?
I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah. He's in the wind, right? And so they didn't decide to acquire Carson Wentz, their primary backup, until after training camp had completed. Is my understanding, this is not me reporting, this is just me kind of speculating, that probably they told Carson Wentz, like, hey, we're going to try out the Sam Howell thing for a while. If it doesn't work out, we're going to give you a call. And that'll be after training camp, which is a catastrophically stupid decision, because if your quarterback coming off of an injury gets injured again, just to pick something at random, you're going to have to get in a guy who doesn't know the playbook, right? And that's what they had to simplify the playbook. And Carson Wentz played really poorly, way better than McCarthy, but played really poorly. And it didn't go very well. So in terms of the acquisitions, like, that's not good. How much does Kevin O'Connell play a role in this? Well, I think with quarterback decisions, he plays a significant role in figuring out which quarterbacks to acquire. He greenlights certain quarterbacks. He greenlit Drake May, probably should have done that. He greenlit JJ McCarthy. He greenlit Carson Wentz. He greenlit Sam Howell. So he's playing a role in that process. But there are other elements to Kevin O'Connell's job that we can break down and look at. Like, what about the play calling? Well, let's take a look. Are the receivers open on time? Yes, they are. Why are the receivers playing poorly? Well, it sounds like a technique thing, and I'm not going to blame the head coach for how poorly they are at catching passes suddenly right now, right? Is the play calling good? I don't know about that necessarily. The sequencing isn't good. They're not calling enough run plays in third. But like, those are some elements you can take a look at individually and say, hey, are they running the ball well? Are they calling runs at appropriate spots? And the answers to both of those are probably no. Is the play design good? Is the play sequencing from a play calling perspective good? What are the things that he's in control of? And that's mostly good. It's not uniformly good. They're bad on fourth down. They're bad on short yardage. But it is mostly good. And so you kind of have to break down each of their individual responsibilities. Is the game plan good? Are they exploiting tendencies of the opposing defense going in? Yeah, I think the game plans are actually really good. But like, it doesn't matter if you like drop like the best plan in the world, right? Like if it's like you don't have like General Patton out there executing your plan, right? Like you've got Beetle Bailey or whoever, right? Like, it's just not working for you.
Drunk Ulysses S. Grant before he really came into his own, before he really figured it out. What I've heard, I listened to a little bit of Score North. I dabble in some K-Fan. Paul Allen was on with our midday guy last week. So I'm like, I'll, hear a little bit of what Paul Allen has to say. I'm driving home on Monday. And I hear a lot of Vikings fans. It's like, well, Kevin O'Connell needs to marry what he does well with what JJ McCarthy does well. And
what does that mean?
I don't know, but that's what you say when the new quarterback isn't working, right? Like, tell me that's a fallacy, or help me is there some truth to that with what you're seeing from Kevin O'Connell?
Yes and no. It's really difficult for fans to kind of embrace the notion that like there might not be a cohesive game plan that focuses on the things that the quarterback is good at. Like, I am tempted to say, what is he good at? No, that's not fair. There are some things that he's good at. But the problem is, and this is kind of one of the issues I have with the way people talk about like overall schematic design, it's the same principle. A lot of people talk about like, you shouldn't necessarily draft players to your scheme. You should fit the scheme to the players and draft the most talented players available. And that I think it strikes me as a reasonable philosophy, but like when you look at the details of how, plays are called and how schemes are developed, don't really work. Like if you have a bunch of players on your roster that are like 2-gap players, and the way that you've initially designed your scheme is that you need interior pass rush, and that interior pass rush is going to free up edge rushers to drop back into coverage, and you don't have that capability. Well, now you can't call the plays that you're comfortable calling. You know what your match rules are because you know who's dropping into coverage and who's not. You got to have, if you want to call light boxes, like the Brandon Staley Rams, right? If you want to call light boxes, you need defensive tackles who can play a gap and a half scheme, which allows someone like an Aaron Donald to either rush the passer or shed his blocker, which is a uniquely talented player, but you need to be able to play a gap and a half if you're going to underinvest in linebackers and play with light boxes against the run. And so you can't just, And so like you these all have to work together as components. So you have to acquire those players. Well, same thing with offensive design, right? If you know that JJ McCarthy is good at intermediate passes, which seems to be where he's best at, you should probably call the types of plays that produce more intermediate passing. But you take a look at the all-22, there's a lot of intermediate routes, and those routes are open. But JJ McCarthy is throwing it deep. He's throwing it deeper than any other player in the NFL, and he's throwing it deep than any other Kevin O'Connell coach quarterback ever has. And the issue is that he is declining these intermediate options to wait to hold on to the ball longer and throwing deep when he doesn't have that capability yet because of his mechanical deficiencies. So, well, maybe you could stop calling so many deep routes, make it impossible for him to throw deep routes. Well, those intermediate routes aren't going to be as open anymore because now you've condensed the field. So, yeah, you can focus on things that he's good at, but there are limits to that, right? And you can't design a whole offensive scheme. If you've got a quarterback that's incredible at play action and nothing else, well, you can't have every passing play be play action. What are you going to do in 2 minutes? What are you going to do when the run game is stopped up, right? What are you going to do? And we know that there's not a huge correlation, but like still, the Vikings did try this with Kirk Cousins until the Packers stopped crashing on Dalvin Cook and started hitting Kirk Cousins in the mouth every single time there was a play that even looked like it might be a running play. And Cousins got demolished, so they stopped doing rollout play actions. Like there's just when you have a limited menu of things that you're good at, and they're not cohesive together in a whole sequence for how you can call plays, then there's just not much you can do. So I sympathize with the idea that you need to orient the scheme around the things McCarthy does well. But first of all, McCarthy doesn't want to do the things he does well. He wants to chuck it, right? But like second, you can't like build the whole plane out of the black box. Like it's just that's just not how an offense is built. So I understand it, but it's not enough.
It's funny. It's the inverse Kirk Cousins. That's what I was thinking. Like Eric Eager always used to talk about, like, you can't give Kirk the check down on 4th and 8 because he will take it. Like now you can't give JJ McCarthy the deep shot because he will try to take it. Arif Hasan is here. I want to ask you about the NFC. It seems like the Packers, they've had worse and better games. Don't get me wrong. Thursday was probably the best, and it's amazing how one big game on national TV just changes the perception from everyone locally and nationally. That's how the league works. But it seems like a lot of the NFC is trending down. Like the Rams just had a bad loss. I don't know if they're trending, but they have a bad loss. The Lions and Eagles are certainly trending down. It seems like the Packers, just by nature of kind of holding tight for a month and getting one really solid win, feel like they're in a better spot. What do you think about the current state of the NFC and where some of these contenders are trending?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the Rams losing to the Panthers, it feels like, man, what's happened? But I have faith that the Rams are just a fundamentally solid and good team.
I do.
That doesn't bother me. But yeah, I'm not shocked, right? Like, so you take a look at the NFC North, and you've kind of got a good picture of like how the NFC at large kind of looks like. I don't think anyone really believes the Bears are the best team in the NFC North. They're the best team. I think they're the top seed in the NFC right now. I don't think anyone believes that from a talent perspective. That's who they are. They just have the record, and sometimes, as Vikings fans well know, right? And I think Packers fans too, because they've been accused of this. Yeah. You can get a bunch of wins that are great. You need to win the game, but don't tell you much about the quality of the team going forward. When you get a bunch of really close wins, or when wins come because of weird bounces of the ball, that's not repeatable. So that's not a skill or a talent that you can take with you, right? So I think that that's what's happening with the Bears. The Packers, I think you've got a really volatile offense that on some days can put up a ton of points and some days just struggle to do really anything. And that I think is just who Jordan Love is. That's been my take for like the past 3 years. But the fact that they've been able to generate a bunch of wins and a tie with how good that defense is, right? Like, and that's going to give you a foundation to work off of. It's clearly the best defense in the division and one of the best defenses, which, hurts as a Brian Flores fan to say, and one of the best defenses in the NFL, right? That it's really astounding. And then with the Lions, it's like, well, at some point they're going to get it together, right? And that's how I feel about a lot of teams around the NFC, where like the Seahawks are a little bit kind of, I'm not going to say super fraudulent. They're a very good team. I think by EPA per play, they have the top defense. There's stuff there, but I don't think it's quite, especially because the offense has been sputtering the past 4 weeks. It's not quite there. So they're kind of in between, right? All three teams that I just mentioned, and you take a look at the Rams, and there's just some games the Rams are just not going to have available to them. You take a look at the Eagles, and it's kind of like the Lions. Like, well, at some point, you would hope that they're going to figure this out, but maybe not, because like they hate each other. I mean, they've hated each other for years, and that's still led to a ring. But
Ben Solak wrote in his column the other day, like when he was listing, like I think it was a panic index for all these teams, and he's like, the Eagles have been here before, and then it was parentheses, remains to be seen if this is a good thing or not.
Yeah, right, like, right.
It's also bad.
Yeah. Like, are you fueled by spite, or are you overcoming it? I still can't tell, right? Yeah. So yeah, the NFC is just a weird hodgepodge, and the only team I trust is the one that let me down, is the Rams, right? It's weird. Like the Panthers are in a spot where they might take what in the world is going on, right? The Panthers might be able to take, which, I mean, this has happened every year in the NFC South, so I guess I shouldn't be shocked. Like there was a brief interruption with the Tom Brady Buccaneers, but then it's always like, what is going on here? But yeah, the NFC is a very, very murky place to be.
I think a part of it is just, if the Packers get off to a clunky start, other teams dominate the ball on them, limit possessions, and then, one mistake from Jordan Love kills them. Or if they jump out to a lead like they did in Detroit, then that pass rush can just go. It's, I don't want to say Packer games are decided in the first quarter, because that's not how football games are played, but it's definitely seemed indicative. Well, I've kept you too long. This was very fun. Thank you. The JJ McCarthy breakdown and humor. I've enjoyed following the Vikings. The content, the games haven't been enjoyable, but listening to you guys, and I like Matt Collar, it's been an interesting team to follow. So thank you for the time, Arif.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. Arif Hasan, his Substack is wide left, and I'm sure he's thinking, oh, of course you like following the Vikings because they suck. I've always found the Vikings to just be an interesting team to follow. I pull against them, and they're more interesting to follow when they're losing, just like the Cubs. But I have enjoyed a little bit. I've dabbled, let's say, in Vikings content the last couple of weeks. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Loose ends from this hour. I'll get to any texts that are hanging out over there, and then we'll probably reset with a couple Giannis thoughts at 5 o'clock before getting right back into the Packers.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Last couple minutes of the hour here. I'll get to some of your texts. The big news of the day. I don't even want to call it news because I don't think it's news. The big story of the day is that there were a couple of reports, both from Windhorst and Shams, about Giannis. And the problem is there's never anything new in these reports. Well, they're having discussions. Man, I said in the first segment of the show, Giannis and John Horst and all of Bucks ownership would save us all a lot of time if they just set up a bunch of bunk beds in a conference room and lived there, because they're always in discussions. Always. So nothing really new, but it's, I think, probably the biggest story of the day. So we've been poking at that a little bit. I have a comment from Matt LaFleur that I want to get into next hour. And a Freddy Peralta thing. Ken Rosenthal wrote about Freddy Peralta in his What I'm Hearing column. And there's one tidbit in there where I went, yeah, there, that's the, circle that. I want to talk about that. But a couple of texts. Johnny Cribbage says, limp to the end with Giannis or trade and clean entire house. Doc, Bobby, Kuz, Miles, more. Yeah, we'll see. I think you ride it out as long as you can with Giannis until he demands you to trade him. That would be my approach. Because I don't think there's some great panacea between, well, we're going to take the exit ramp off of Giannis and immediately start contending. I just don't think that exists. But who knows? Maybe John Horst finds that avenue. Jay Krebs says, I think this time with Giannis is different because he hasn't shot it down. If Giannis wants out, he will be stupid. He will be out. That's the stupidest part of the NBA. Giannis has never shut it down. And that's why Cindy from Madison says, Grant, it's like Aaron Rodgers all over again, only basketball. It's sickening. I think we are misremembering Rodgers and his dramatics. Rodgers was never, well, maybe I'll retire. Maybe, like, he would hint at it, but it wasn't like Favre, where, like, Favre genuinely thought he was done every year. I think Rodgers would mention it because he talks and he's a, meaning of life guy. Well, you never know. You have no way of knowing, right? Like, that was Rodgers. Rodgers was not that annoying. And then at the end, when his future was unclear, that wasn't because of Rodgers. That was because the Packers drafted his replacement. So I actually have to cape a little bit for Aaron Rodgers in this scenario because we always take shots and I think revise history of how it ended with him in Green Bay. I don't think he was ever that. I don't think he was the guy that a lot of you remember. There was certainly annoying things and drama, but not on the scale that a lot of people say. Bobby and Menominee, kind of over Giannis. His conditioning never improved. Like physically? I don't think that's accurate, but the rest of your text, maybe. He still can't set an actual screen. That's correct. He still can't make his free throws. He could have and should have gone down as one of the top 5 players ever to do it, but he's flatlined after constantly improving. Yeah, but I think that's probably true of a lot of players. They have the skills or they have the build, and okay, so he's a top 15 player, 12 player, 10 player of all time. I don't know. Gooseegg says, yeah, it's a beautiful mystery. Beautiful mystery always with Rodgers. But he wasn't like this, man. This isn't how it was. Hour 2 coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Jordan Love was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week today for the second time this season. Love was on fire against Detroit on Thanksgiving, throwing 4 touchdowns, posting a 124.2 quarterback rating. It was the first time in his career where he threw 4 touchdowns and did not have an interception. In his third year as a starter, he's really cut down on giving the ball away, has just 3 interceptions through 12 games after throwing 11 in each of the last 2 full seasons. Coach Matt LaFleur was asked about Love's cutback in turnovers.
I think there's a lot of factors in regards to that question, to be honest with you. And you almost have to go through all the plays and all the tape. And I think he has done a pretty good job of showing just, number one, throwing on in the rhythm and the timing of the play, but showing the ability to progress, and sometimes even throw it away when it's not there instead of trying to force it down the field.
Loving the Packers getting ready for a visit from Chicago on Sunday. Going to be a matchup between the teams that turn the ball over the fewest in Green Bay and the ones that force the most turnovers. The Bears kick is set for 325. Turning to Wisconsin, it is National Signing Day for them. Among the key players in the class is three-star quarterback Ryan Hopkins out of Southern California. Chose the Badgers over a double-digit number of offers, including UCLA and Washington.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, Wisconsin will open Big Ten play tonight as Northwestern visits the Kohl Center. Badgers have lost 2 of 3 coming in. Tip is at 8. And the Bucs are home tonight to face the Pistons at Fiserv Forum. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
9-13 overall. They just lost a 16-point lead to the Washington Wizards on Monday. And I'm told Giannis Antetokounmpo has been frustrated over the recent losing, but so have John Horst, the general manager, Doc Rivers, the head coach. There's been a lot of frustration within that Bucs organization over the losing, and also a sense of tension around the locker room about what this means for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I had one source even tell me and describe the situation as the writing on the wall for what's to come with Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was sold potentially on a championship vision by John Horst and Doc Rivers, returned, recommitted to this team. But this is a situation where this Bucs organization could be faced with serious consequences depending on how the season continues to play out.
Okay. What you're asking me is his viewpoint, will his viewpoint change? I don't know. I know that he asked for a trade, and then he said, okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year. I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
It's that Windhorse cut, man. It's that thing. It's that thing that I can't let go. I've mostly been able to tune out every Shams tweet and little television breakout clip because we've been doing this for years. At a certain point, it just becomes white noise, right? Like it's the boy who cried Giannis. Like you can't keep telling us that he's thinking about leaving, that he's pondering. They're in discussions. They're having conversations about the future, whether it's more. You can't keep doing this for 4 or 5 years and then expect us to be like, really? Is it, Mr. Sharania, is this the time? Like we just start to tune it out. So I am, as a 27-year-old adult here, very mature, wise, and emotionally regulated. And that's why I'm able to just tune out the sham stuff. But it's that final comment from Brian Windhorst where it's like, that's the thing that still gets under my skin.
And then he said, okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year. I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
You don't get to do that thing. That's the thing that annoys me. And I actually really like Brian Windhorst. I think most of his Giannis commentary is a lot more fair than most people would lead you to believe. I think it's very genuine. I don't think he's sensationalist. I think every time I see him on TV, it's like this is a legit reporter who's been doing it a long time, who's obviously tapped in, probably couches a lot more information than he shares. Like, I don't have a problem with Windhorst. I mean, I don't know any of these guys. I'm just speaking about them as like sports assets. Like, I don't know them as people. They could all be a-holes. I don't know. That's the thing that bothers me. Where it's like, well, Giannis seems committed this year, which is a hilarious thing to say, given he seems, brother, he's wearing a Bucks jersey and playing basketball. I mean, he seems committed. Dude, he's playing for the team. Grant seems committed to WOZN and WKTY. Yeah, dude, I'm on air on those stations talking into the microphones. Yeah, I'm committed. I'm doing yes. So he's committed this year, but I don't know about next year.
A lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
I don't like that they just keep kicking it down the road. It's like, guys, if you just keep doing this, yeah, you're eventually going to be right, but you're not describing, you're not sharing any information. You're not reporting anything. You're just explaining the calendar to me. That's what you're doing. And I don't like that. I won't abide by that. I won't let that roll off my back like a fistful of water off the back of a mallard or whatever, like a wet duck. So whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. If you have anything to add on this and anything to add to the Giannis, it's not news. It's a story. If you have anything to add, I'll take your thoughts and calls. No phones are ringing, so I assume I just got a text actually from Jim in Cottage Grove. It says, I really wish you would let this go. I'm tired of hearing about it until he's gone. He's gone. Well, Jim, this is the first time I think I've talked about this in forever. I considered not even really bringing this up tonight. I just considered starting with the Packers, just personally. But I thought that this was significant enough. And I think most people agree, Jim. But again, if everyone said their piece, we took a couple calls on it last hour. If that's that, all right, let's talk Packers. One thought, and I shared this with Arif, and he gave us some thoughts in hour number one. Bill has brought this up throughout the week too. Are the Packers trending up? Are they trending in the right direction? Now, it certainly feels like it because of that win over Detroit. And it's amazing how one big win on national TV will change the fortunes of a team or change the way that team is being discussed. And I think on Monday, we were having some fun with the Packers schedule because we flip-flopped a couple different times on how we view the schedule. Remember, after the Packers beat Detroit and Washington, we looked ahead at the next handful of games: Cleveland, Dallas, Cincinnati, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Carolina. Okay, maybe one loss in there, but this team's going to start like 7-1, 8-1. And then they lose to Cleveland, and then they tie Dallas. It's like, well, maybe this team isn't that good. They're 2-1-1. And then they beat Cincinnati, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Carolina, or they lose to Carolina, but they beat Cincinnati, Arizona, Pittsburgh. And we start looking forward and saying, wow, they'll beat the Panthers. They'll beat the Giants. They should beat the Vikings. They've won in Detroit on Thanksgiving before. Like, we're looking at the schedule, like, find the losses. We start feeling good again. And then they lose to Carolina and Philly. And then we start looking at the rest of the same schedule, same opponents. Well, where are the wins? It's flip, flop, just, and most of the season has hinged on dramatic results on nationally televised games. Dallas on Sunday Night Football, that tie. Philadelphia on Monday Night Football, losing 10-7. It was ugly. And then winning in Ford Field on Thanksgiving, nationally televised, has now flipped us back the other way. It feels like the Packers are trending in the right direction. And I think as much as a team can trend over the span of 2 or 3 weeks, they are. That Minnesota game felt like a much better team pressing their thumb down on a much lesser opponent. And you can say the Vikings are a much lesser opponent, and it doesn't mean much. The folks, that win felt better than Cincinnati, although I think Cincinnati's better than Minnesota. Felt better than Carolina, who they lost to. Felt better than Cleveland. So they've played lesser opponents before this year, and it hasn't looked nearly as impressive. And also, I think the Packers could have exerted their will a little bit more against Minnesota had they wanted to. But like Seattle this last Sunday, they said, we're good, man. We'll just kick some field goals and get out of here. Like, your quarterback's a joke, and you guys can't score. So we're not messing around with this. We'll just keep going. The Packers are probably trending upward as much as a team can trend in a 2 or 3 week span. I also think other teams around the NFC feel like they're trending down. Detroit feels like they're trending down, and it doesn't help that they're getting more injured. Right? Terrion Arnold went on injured reserve. They lost Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think he practiced today. I don't think he's going to play tomorrow in what feels like an elimination game between Dallas and Detroit. They bring back Ragnow, and it turns out his hamstring's jacked up, so he's done again. Like, it feels like Detroit is trending down. And Detroit has lost some of these games these last few weeks because of their inability to convert 3rd and 4th downs, which has kind of been their bread and butter the last couple of weeks. They've lost 2 of 3. They haven't won successive games. They haven't won back-to-back games since week 4. Beat the Bengals, lost to the Chiefs. Beat the Bucks, lost to the Vikings. They lost to the Vikings. They lost to J.J. McCarthy. They lost to that team at home. Beat the Commanders, lost to the Eagles, beat the Giants, lost to the Packers. They feel like they're reeling. The Eagles feel like they're reeling. The Eagles are Super Bowl champs, and they've been reeling before the last couple of years, so maybe that's nothing new. They get the benefit of the doubt more than most, but they certainly don't feel like they're trending in the right direction. I still think the Rams are good, but they just lost to the Panthers. The Bucks have completely fallen off from what they looked like in the first month of the season. And then there are the Packers, who are coming off their best win of the season, or certainly their best win since September. It feels like they're trending in the right direction. And I think certain parts of this roster are trending as well. Nate Hobbs was back at practice today. Say what you want about Nate Hobbs, but I certainly like this roster a lot better when he's at least available as a depth option instead of Bo Melton or Kamal Haddon or whoever the F, they're going to put out there because that part of the roster, is really thin. Marshawn Lloyd is back at practice. He's looking like he's going to make his return. And now Jayden Reed looks like he's ready to come back, whether it's this week or the following. And I'll give you Matt LaFleur's thoughts on this in a couple minutes because he spoke directly to this. Remember a few weeks ago when I asked Ryan Wood, hey, what does Jayden Reed give them that they are lacking in his absence? Because Dontavian Wicks has played well. Christian Watson looks awesome. Romeo Doubs is Romeo Doubs. Josh Jacobs is getting touches. We want Matthew Golden to get touches when he's healthy. So we can say, well, they need to get Jayden Reed back. They already have a couple of wide receivers we really like. Christian Watson, who most feel is under-targeted. So what are they actually getting back when they get Jayden Reed back? What is he going to add that they can't get from the guys who we already want the ball to go to more? And Ryan Wood said, playmaking from anywhere on the field. Screenplays, sweeps, yards after the catch. And I think Jayden Reed can supplement a little of what they're missing since Tucker Kraft's injury, which is a little check down that now turns into 12 yards because Jayden Reed and Ryan Wood cited in this interview, and I'll go pull the audio over one of these commercial breaks because I think I'll be able to dig it up. I should have done this before the show. I had to get a haircut today. It's been a whole thing. But he referenced that play in Minnesota on New Year's Eve 2 years ago when Jayden Reed caught a crossing route, simple crossing route, little drag route coming across the middle, maybe 6 or 7 yards, depth of target, I don't remember. And he broke 2 or 3 tackles and then dragged 2 or 3 more guys into the end zone. That's what they're missing without Tucker Kraft. Jayden Reed is not Tucker Kraft, but can he do some of those things in the short to intermediate passing game? I don't need him going deep. They have other guys doing that well. I don't need him even intermediate. I think their passing game has been fine without him. Can he almost be an extension of the running game with yards after the catch in a way that Tucker Kraft kind of was? If he can do that thing, he can really give this offense something they're missing without him. Not to mention Sean Ryan is settling in at center, Belton settling in at right guard. There's these little spots internally with the Packers where they seem like they're kind of trending in the right direction. And as I said, some other competitors around the NFC might be trending the other way and losing guys rather than getting guys back like the Packers have been. And the Packers lost Devontae Wyatt, so they're not completely and totally insulated from injuries and loss either. But it seems like the Packers may be trending the right way as much as a team can be over the span of 2 or 3 weeks. Can't say the same about a lot of teams around the NFC. It's looking pretty good. It's looking a lot better than things did a month ago. Put it that way. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Anthony from La Crosse.
Hey, what's up, Anthony? Thanks for calling.
I don't know, man. I got a Giannis take.
Yeah.
I have been an NBA fan 2016, and grew up in a very much Brewers Packers household. Not much NBA. And I became an NBA fan because of Giannis. And I know Shams and Brian Windhorst is pretty much all just conjecture at this point, like it always is. But I don't know, man. If Giannis gets traded, I'm going to be just so sad because, like, winning a championship with him in an era of super team after super team felt like, all right, you can still build around one guy and just add depth pieces. And the dude is just all loyalty and just all heart, all hustle. It's like, oh man, even to see him go and be like, oh man, this team is just cheeks. I'm out. I don't know, man. Just hits hard.
So before I let you go, Anthony, if he asks for a trade and isn't an a-hole about it, are you going to look back at some of the things that he's said and done in the past? And is that going to detract? Like, will you not think of him as the same loyal player that, he's been in the past?
No, I don't think so, because I mean he's self-aware, right? He's like, hey man, like he definitely knows how good he is, and it's like, hey, if I'm in that position too, I want to get 1 or 2 more championships too, because he realizes like, hey, I'm a top 10 player in the world currently, top 15, 20 all time. Like, hey, I want to add to my resume. Who can blame him?
Sure.
I don't know, just love the dude. So.
I do too. I mean, I'll be sad to see him lose. And thank you, Anthony. Thanks for listening in the cross. I'll be sad to see him leave too. And I think my Bucks fandom kind of took a very similar path. I didn't watch the Bucks growing up. We were a baseball, football household, college basketball a little bit. But a lot of it, I got into the Bucks in college as Giannis was just kind of quite literally learning to speak English. So my fandom's kind of followed him. I'll be sad if he leaves. I think an important thing for me is that I will not go years and years thinking, well, what if the Bucks had done that? What if the Bucks had traded for Damian Lillard? What if the Bucks had signed Miles Turner? Like, what if they had done this, that, and the other? They did all of the things. They did Eric Bledsoe. They did Drew Holiday. They traded most all the picks. I think they're to a point now where I don't know that they're actually going to, I don't know that it would be worth it to trade. Are they still holding their 29 or their 31? I don't remember. I don't know that it would be worth it. I'll always wonder what could have happened in 2022 if Chris Middleton hadn't pulled his hammy. Sure. But like, that's not the fault of the Bucks. There was a wet spot on the floor at the United Center or something. Like, that's what that was. So it's not like Rodgers. It's like, if only they had, drafted T. Higgins, or which I don't think was that. I don't think that would have made a difference. I think Rodgers and Devontae Adams, please catch the ball in the end zone against the Bucks. Aaron Jones, please don't do that thing where, I fumbled and now I'm hurt. That whole charade that we saw on Sunday, by the way, did it in Seattle, except in Green Bay, he did it in the NFC Championship game, and he did it on his own 5-yard line. Like that was that thing. But through Rodgers' career, it's like, should they have traded for Marshawn Lynch? And there were a couple of others too. Like, if Ted Thompson had, done a couple things differently, maybe. I don't feel that way with the Bucks, and that's important to me. And I won't look back at Giannis, but you said you were loyal. I'm procrastinating getting to this. We have a couple more callers. I'll get to you. Give me 60 seconds on the idea that Giannis wants to go leave and chase a championship. Man, I think that's a tall task. I think that's a really tall task. And we just saw that not work with Damian Lillard. And now Damian Lillard kind of felt like a man without a country. He was blamed for everything in Milwaukee. And part of that, I think, is fair, but a lot of it's not. It's harder than ever in this era to be like, well, this superstar will just go here and play with this superstar and they'll win. So, like, where's Giannis supposed to go where the fit is perfect and they have their assets and they have, like, maybe he feels like he can't win in Milwaukee, and maybe he can't. But I would be hard pressed. I would preach caution and pessimism on him going somewhere else and just immediately fitting perfectly with another team and winning a title, because we haven't really seen that thing work recently. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue it. It's just, I think that's a lot easier said than done. 608-321-1670. Thank you for waiting. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Hey, I'm the opposite of that last guy. I've been watching the Bucks, listening to the Bucks since since Jim Paschke started. This is mid-'80s. And, Giannis, I think the guy's a little bit too Americanized now, got the AAU culture behind him, taking the easy way out.
Your culture.
You look at it.
Your AAU culture, Tony. In
well,
Texas.
I tell you what, Grant, if I'm going to tell you to stay home and you're going to pay you the same, you're going to do the same, right, buddy?
Pay me to stay home. What is that in reference to?
PTO days.
Oh, man, you can't pull me off the radio, except for Friday. I have to go to a wedding. But, man, I can't sit at home knowing that I could be on the air. It's just not how I'm wired. But I guess I'm built different, Tony. I wasn't a product of the AAU system.
Yeah, well, this is why I respect a guy like Dirk more.
Sure.
Dirk Nowitzki from the Mavericks. His best buddy was Steve Nash, if you don't remember. And they traded, or eventually Nash went free agency to the Suns. And it looked like it was going to be bleak for the Mavs. And they brought in Jason Terry, and they brought in Jason Kidd, who was older, and Tyson Chandler. And they somehow, some way won a title. They earned it. And people will look back and they always say Dirk Nowitzki has one of the toughest rings ever earned. And now Giannis, and I don't get these basketball dudes. Like, is it because you're older or what? Why do you want it easy now? I mean, Middleton what team is good for 20 years straight? It's impossible. Giannis, you won a ring. You should have won 3. You can blame yourself for not being smart in critical situations, for missing shots, missing free throws. It's on you too, buddy. If they had won 3 or 4 rings, would he have stayed? I don't know. But some of this is on him too. It's on Horst. I tell you what, John Horst, and you could put Bodie and Corey from Toast as the GM. They would do just as good of a job as John Horst. I'll take Ram and Carl from the South Side. Just as good of a job.
So I don't know about that, Tony. So I appreciate the call. John Horst has been mostly a non-factor in the draft. He's been really good at the other stuff. Swinging trades, signing guys. I think he's done lots of things that have been good. Tony, I think your point about Giannis coming up short in some of these moments too is absolutely correct. In 2019 against the Raptors, well, Eric Bledsoe, Giannis couldn't make his free throws. And him and Chris weren't linked up in a way that they needed to be. Like, I can look at some, and I'm not blaming, I'm not looking to blame anyone. I'm just trying to explain why the Bucks may have not won more titles with Giannis. They still could. I mean, they could win one this year. They could, I'm not saying that this is done. I'm just saying up until this point. So they should have won 3. I think I don't like looking at sports that way, but you can. Like, I think 2022, Giannis did just about everything. That was maybe the most impressive I've ever seen him in the playoffs. They needed Middleton to win another game or 2 off the Celtics. And then the Raptors and in the bubble, like Giannis wasn't good enough. He was developing. He was still polishing his game as a player, but that wasn't the Bucks' fault, in my opinion. Giannis and the Bucks' best player. Sometimes the best player has a bad series, and they're eliminated. And that doesn't mean that the coach didn't do their job. Coach didn't make adjustments. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? Go out there and shoot Giannis's free throws for him? And I'm not trying to slander Giannis here. I'm just trying to point out that, like, I've seen so many tweets, and I think these tweets are from children who don't understand the full scope of things when they say, man, Giannis deserved better from the Bucks. What? What are you talking about? You want to say that a little bit with Rodgers? Okay, because maybe there were some moves over the years, some signings they could have made. Sure. But with Giannis, are you nuts? They got Bledsoe. They upgraded to Drew. When Drew got old, they upgraded to Dame. Then Dame blows his Achilles. You're like, oh, the thing is porked. All right, now they find a way to move some money and go sign Miles Turner. Like, Giannis deserved better? Are you high? No, you're a child, and this is what we do. The player's never at fault. Someone must be blamed, and it's always the organization. It's the corporation. It's the boss, which I'm, whatever. Let's take a break. We got loaded phone lines. I'm sorry, we're behind. I got to get to a break, but 3 minutes, and I'm instantly right back to the phone calls after this.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, right back to your phone calls. Been kicking around Giannis and the news. News is a stretch. It's a story. I don't know that it's news. Doc at his presser today reiterating there have been no conversations. There's been no trade request. Scott Grodsky 7 minutes ago, quote, Giannis has never asked to be traded ever. I can't make that more clear. All right. Well, we're kicking it around anyways. And more of your phone calls, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-90.
Eric, good evening. And we paid a little service to your Vikings with some conversation as well in the first hour, if you missed that.
I heard that. I did hear that. That was a very insightful conversation on the Minnesota Vikings. Very good. But we're talking Giannis and the Bucks.
Yep.
And we haven't done that this year, again, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
I think when the ultimate, in my mind, in my opinion, was when they traded Drew Holiday away. I think that was a key player in that championship year. I think he was a key player on the team, and I think besides Giannis, he was kind of the stick that stirred the pot. And and I know that that's probably not even possible to keep these players, because you look at the Bucks now, and if you didn't watch them for 3 years now, you wouldn't even recognize them. White men can jump. Connaughton's gone.
Yep.
Everybody's gone, right? Everybody's gone. And, we still love watching Giannis, and that might be just what we get, right?
Yeah.
That might be just all we're going to get.
So here's the thing. Eric, great call and a good point. So there are the Drew Holiday detractors. I don't think they would have won any more with Drew. I think they would have lost. It would have looked different. It would have felt different. It would have had more assets, which maybe, they parlay into something different, which works better than Dame. But I don't think they were winning another. The heart and soul thing, sure. I think with every big trade they made, they lost a piece and a little bit of the personality of that championship team, but they also had to do that because they just kept getting older. They were an old team. And they got older with Dame, and they've gotten younger with Miles Turner. I'm also not so convinced that this team just sucks. The East kind of stinks. The Pistons are good. Like there's some good, young, more athletic, deeper teams. But until teams like that prove it, I'm never going to say that the Bucks have no chance. The East is just down, man. So I don't know. I think it's worth continuing to explore. I wouldn't trade Giannis unless he forces you. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Denny from Holman.
What's up, Denny?
So I grew up, with Elvin Robertson, Sam I.M. Cassell, Lucius Allen, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ray Allen, Moncrief, Dandridge back in the day and everything, and I agree with John on that. I think the Bucks really lost a lot when Drew left, because he did so much for the community, so much for Milwaukee, so much for all the different things that him and his wife shared up. And I'm wondering, do you feel that this team is going down because of the coaching?
No. Maybe they would be going less down, or maybe they'd be going up with a different coach. But no, of all of the things, I am not banging the table about Doc Rivers at the moment. Maybe I should be.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you?
I just wanted to see what. I don't know. I mean, Doc's always supposed to be so good and all that stuff, but yet he's been in enough places, and some places he hasn't succeeded, So
I think some players like him. We've talked about this with guys like Justin Garcia. Like, what's good about Doc? Because, you talk to people on the internet, Danny, nobody likes Doc. He's a moron.
Right.
But
okay.
I think veteran players like him. I don't know. I think part of the reason is he was available when the Bucks fired their coach mid-season.
I don't think they ever should have let go after the championship of the coach they had for the championship,
Budenholzer?
Yeah, I thought he was a good coach. I thought the guys loved him. I thought they played their butts off for the guy,
Yeah, I mean, they did. This is what's tough, Denny, and I appreciate the call. It's so easy for us now to look back and say, well, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done the Dame trade. Well, everyone loved the Dame trade. It just didn't work. And I think Giannis bears a lot of responsibility for that. By the way, hey, man, we brought Damian Lillard to come play here with you. You got to figure out those two had to figure out a way to be the dynamic duo that everyone just assumed they would be. Giannis shoulders a lot of that. So is Dame. He's like, well, what about my family? I don't know, man. You're the one who requested the trade away from your family. Also, they got houses in Milwaukee. It's a real city with schools and grocery stores and everything. Bring them. So I blame those two. I don't blame the Bucks for that. Budenholzer, and again, that's another weird thing. People wanted Budenholzer fired. Like the Bill Simmons of the world wanted Budenholzer fired for like 3 years before he was fired. And then they finally fire him. It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, Giannis was hurt. It's like, what do you people want? What do you people actually want? How can I help make it better for you people? You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll hear a little bit from Doc Rivers on the other side, and I have some more Packers things to discuss as well. The Bill Michaels Huddle coming up in about 35 minutes. Mike Clemens will join. We'll make our picks for week, whatever the heck this is, week 14. We'll make our week 14 picks tonight as well. Hear from Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. So a lot of content yet to come on all of our network stations, not just for the next 30 minutes, but for the next 2.5 hours. Stay tuned.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I want to wrap up the last 10 minutes or so talking about what Ken Rosenthal wrote today about Freddy Peralta in his What I'm Hearing column, which is, the old meme where it's like you hear CCR and the old Vietnam War vet starts, the eyes get real wide. They're in the trees. Like, that's Ken Rosenthal's What I'm Hearing column for me. It's like anytime a Brewer's mentioned there, they're in the trees. Or Matt Arnold's on the phone. Or take David Stern's phone away. He's about to do something stupid. He's about to trade Josh Hader. There we go. Ding. Actually, there was a bell. Hold on. I don't know why this is in the drawer. He's about to trade Josh Hader. There you go. There's the mention for the day. We cleared our quota of Josh Hader trade mentions. I want to wrap up the show with that. Something that was reported about Freddy Peralta that I find is interesting. That's it. A couple of texts before we hear from Doc Rivers, because I'm actually very interested. Mike Clemens fired this over, said 4 minutes. Doc Rivers talking about the ESPN reporting day, so we'll get to that. But first, a couple of texts. This text says, I feel like if Giannis gets traded, he won't be on the Bucks anymore. I like texts that make me think. That's a good one. Follow up with your name. I'd love to save your number. Thank you. Jim in Cottage Grove says he's probably going to go to the Wizards and play with Chris Middleton. Ha, ha, ha. Well, I mean, the Wizards stuffed it up his rear end the other night. Bobby in Menominee said, trade him to OKC and he'll be the greatest role player ever. I don't know if that's how it works. I mean, I think it's a lot more complicated than it used to be. It used to be, well, we'll just, the Heat can just get Chris Bosh and LeBron. It might not work right away, but it'll work. Or the Cavs can just get Kyrie Irving and LeBron and Kevin Love and it'll work. Lots of teams have done it. Now, even back in the super team era, lots of teams tried it and it didn't work. The Lakers with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard and Kobe didn't work. And then, later on when the Thunder tried to do it with Russ and Carmelo and Paul George, that definitely didn't work. So even in the super team era, super teams were far from perfect. But now it's like, I don't know. You might say, well, the Rockets should trade for him. Okay, but then what are they giving up? And then Giannis is a pretty specific player. So are the remaining pieces going to perfectly complement his skill set? And is he going to get there and immediately get to work on how to fit with other guys and play I just think it's more complicated than that. It's more complicated than, well, he can't win with the Bucks. He's going to have to go win a championship somewhere else. Okay, man, well, good luck. Lots of players who are less unique have gone other places and tried that and failed. Here's Doc Rivers on the Giannis report. I'm actually very interested to hear this.
For you, we talked about this
question
obviously
from
at the start
Eric
of training
Name.
camp. And
The Athletic.
I'm curious, is it any different in the middle of a season?
It's different in the middle of the season because the season's going on.
Whoa, that is okay. Let me write that down. It's different in the middle of the season because the season's going on. All right, thank you, Doc.
And you have to answer these questions again. And I want to make it clear just I would say one more time, but for the 50th time, it clearly is not getting the One Network for sure. Giannis has never asked to be traded, ever. I can't make that more clear.
So,
you keep asking the different ways, but it's going to be the same answer.
As you said, though, there's a difference between December 3rd and October
Jim
8th
Ozarski.
or August. And these guys, everyone's online. So what is it?
Well, I don't know that. I can't answer what the players are thinking and all that.
So how do you not address it? Is that up to him, or how does that work in a locker room where you guys are trying to win games?
Yeah, we're trying to win games. Listen, we've lost. The reason this is out is because we're not playing well. When we started out the season, I heard guys say, "Man, they're going to be really good." So let's just.
We are, by the way, not that far removed from that. The Bucks won a couple of games early. And it's like, oh, the Bucks look good. Like, this is Ryan Reynolds' cat, and they won a game without Giannis against the Warriors. Like, this is all turned in like a week and a half, mostly because Giannis missed some games. So I feel like there is a possibility, there is a chance in like 2 weeks this is dead. There's a possibility. I'm not predicting it. I'm saying it could be possible because it only took about 2 weeks for it to get to this point.
Call a spade a spade. We're not playing well. We had a tough loss the other night. And so now, this is the subject matter. It's no more true than it was this summer. Does it affect our team and our players? I hope not. I can tell you after listening to our guys talk today, it doesn't, but that doesn't mean it won't. I can't answer that.
So he made a point when you guys both came down in October to say, he's like, I'm here and I'm saying this because my teammates need to hear it.
Yeah.
Again,
again, I don't know if he said that to his, I don't think he needs to, but if he has to, he will. I know they all talked today and they were great. So again, it is what it is. The thing I keep saying is I go to the source. I talk to the source every single day. Every single day. And he loves Milwaukee and he loves the Bucks.
You kept mentioning just about the conversations today. Just what do you mean? What did you hear today? Is that something to shoot around? Like what are you referring to, I guess, in that?
I don't understand the question.
You said the guys, what you liked, what you heard.
No, we talk every day. I'm the coach of the Bucks. Yeah, and we literally talk.
I will say, whether or not you think Doc is a good coach or you agree with his politics, because I know that's a sticking point for so many, he's an entertaining. He does make me laugh. I do appreciate the entertainment value he brings.
Every day. Every single day.
I am what did he say there? I am the coach of the Bucks.
Yeah, and we literally talk
Hold on, one more time.
No, we talk every day. I'm the coach of the Bucks. Yeah, and we literally talk every day. Every single day. As a group, as a team. Every day. I'm the coach of the Bucks.
That's good. I do get a kick out of him. I don't ever want to hear him on the Bill Simmons podcast, but in this setting, I do enjoy him.
As a group, as a team, we talked about how we played the other night. We talk about moving forward where we want to go.
But you heard things you said that encouraged you, and just kind of what
about
those things?
Never been discouraged. I don't understand the question. Encouraged me about what?
Just about how you guys rebound from this, play the way you're playing. I'm talking about.
Well, I think the first way to rebound is get healthy. That's number one, and we are finally. I think Scoot went out last game, but hopefully he'll play tonight. And that's the number one thing is get healthy and then see where we go. We feel very good about this team, but we have to play better. We have to win games, and
correct.
Until we start winning games, this is going to be out here. We rip off 10 in a row. My guess is it's magically going to disappear.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying a couple minutes ago. Like I think they're 2 good weeks of basketball for this becoming nothing. Because two or 3 weeks ago they were playing awesome, and everyone's like, "Oh, damn it, the Bucks! It looks like they did it again." So Doc is very correct in that.
That's just how I feel. I just keep saying this. I've heard guys say they've talked to sources, and I talk to the source. And if I've learned anything in life, the source usually knows.
The source usually knows. Let's say it one more time.
The source usually knows.
Source material. I like that.
What gives you
one
that
more
confidence that y'all can get back to where y'all were, maybe the first handful of
Well, because I saw us at the beginning of the year. I saw us for one quarter, at the beginning of the year. And we haven't had our team. We haven't had Giannis and Scoot. In the minutes that they played on the floor with Ryan, I think our plus minus is a plus 26. So those numbers make me feel positive about the team. But again, we have to win games. And if we win games, then, we'll be talking about, are you guys looking to improve your team at trade deadline to see if you can go to the next level, And if we don't, then we'll be talking about this. That's just how it works.
So I agree with everything Doc said. It is funny how Definitive he is. Like, I can't tell you guys enough. He's never requested a trade. And what he's really referring to now, Shams didn't report that Giannis requested a trade. He's just reporting discussions, which is fork found in kitchen. That's been reported for 5 years. What he's referring to, I think, is Windhorst's thing here, and I'll play this for you again. And the first part of this is, I want to break this down because it's worth talking about.
The Bucks called the Knicks and asked for an offer for Giannis,
which we knew. That's not anything new. We knew that there was a conversation and exploratory talk.
Okay. Because Giannis said, I want to be a Knick. So people are like, oh my God, he deleted a photo from May where he had a Bucks logo in it. Guys, he asked to be traded already.
That is different than the Bucks called the Knicks to see what's up. Saying that Giannis asked to be traded, you are either, Windhorst is doing one of two things here, and I like Windhorst. Windhorst is doing one of two things. He is either reporting something new that has been couched for this long for God knows what reason, by the way. Why? I mean, any little tidbit of Giannis Bucks scratch that any insider can get on television for a breakout clip, they're getting on television for a breakout clip. So I have a hard time believing that Giannis directly requested a trade in the last couple of months, and Windhorst is like, that's interesting. Well, I guess I'll just sit on that until I do a hit on ESPN Cleveland on December 3rd. So I have a hard time believing that this is a novel new piece of information that Windhorst is just couched for a couple of months, because that wouldn't make any sense to me. I think what Windhorst is doing here is taking something that we already know and that we've already heard and putting it to different music and framing it in a different way that's more dramatic, that's more sensationalist, but it's actually fundamentally changing the report that we've known for months. Saying the Bucks once called the Knicks just to check in is very different than Giannis requested a trade. Those are two very different things. And why I don't like this is, unless Windhorst was just sitting on this for months, which again I find unlikely, he's putting different music to something that we already knew, which really changes the meat and bones of the reporting. I don't like that. Because I don't believe that. I don't believe that he would have sat on that for that long.
Logo, guys, he asked to be traded already.
I don't.
So when's it going to happen?
Well, that's the thing. So
this is the thing. So when's it going to happen? Well, that's the kicker. I don't know. It might be tomorrow. It might be 10 years down the road. Okay, well, you're not reporting anything to me. You're giving me the calendar.
Well, that's the thing. So what appears is that Giannis committed himself for the season to the Bucks.
He is wearing a Bucks uniform and playing basketball currently for the Milwaukee Bucks. So it does seem that way, both in spirit and in practice.
That's what appeared happened. Everything he said in his mood. But the Bucks are not good. This year, when he hasn't played, they're 1-5. And when he has played, they're 9-8.
You ever notice how any report about Giannis's availability or lack thereof very quickly turns into, well, they haven't been out of the first round in the last couple of years. Well, they're going through a really rough stretch of games. Guys, don't read me the standings. I can buy USA Today. I can go to ESPN.com. Don't give me the calendar. I have one on my phone. Do you have anything to report? Do you have anything new? Now, maybe Windhorst did there, but again, I think he just reframes it in a way that's not, I don't know, there's a lot of journalistic integrity there. Maybe he just couched it. Maybe he's like, yeah, Giannis requested a trade, and nobody said anything about it for 3 months. And maybe there's some reason for that. I would need that explained to me. I find that very unlikely.
This year, when he hasn't played, they're 1-5.
Again, you're just I
know. And when he has played, they're 9-8.
I can look at the box scores. I know
they've been 500 when he's played, and when he hasn't played, they've been getting raced. What you're asking me is his viewpoint? Would his viewpoint change? I don't know.
Oh.
Like I know that he asked for a trade, and then he said, "Okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year." I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
And that's the cherry on top. Well, even if he finishes this year, he'll probably be gone next year. Okay, well, let me set my calendar to 1 year from now, because we've been doing that for the last 5 or 6 years. A little breaking news on Freddy Peralta. Not breaking news, but an interesting report. We can get into that next. The show presented by Lacrosse Beer House. We appreciate their support of the show. Corner of 3rd and Pearl, right downtown. And you can go there for authentic big old mugs of German beer. Polka music. They have live music sometimes. So like their Facebook page, they always post updates and they're doing special things. You can get a big pretzel, pig bacon, bacon on a stick, delicious fish fry on Friday night. It's a great place to start your night out downtown, right? Again, in the thick of things. right across from Bill's friends at Buzzard Billy's, corner of 3rd and Pearl, right down there in the thick of things. Like their Facebook page. They'll always post updates about live music or food specials or anything like that. We appreciate their support of the show, and we will wrap up the show next with a little talk, the latest from Ken Rosenthal and Freddy Peralta.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Last couple minutes here, the Bill Michaels Huddle. Less than 10 minutes away, we'll make our picks. We'll connect with Mike Clemens. Lot to be discussed from 6 to 8 on a lot of these same stations, so stay tuned. And all of Bill's live streaming platforms as well. Ken Rosenthal, strap in, got a new column out at The Athletic today. What I'm hearing about the Reds' interest in Kyle Schwarber and more MLB offseason notes. Kyle Schwarber to the Reds would be interesting. Not the part of the story that interests me. In fact, I would have skimmed right over it had people not tweeted about it. Anytime a Brewer is mentioned in one of Ken's What I'm Hearing stories, I take notice. A little PTSD from the Hader trade, another mention. We've been a busy week in terms of Hader trade mentions. Brewers ponder opening door on Freddy Peralta, which, by the way, the wording is the Brewers are considering trading Freddy Peralta. We have 2 levels of hypothetical here. So far from imminent, but interesting and worth discussing. Perhaps this was inevitable, writes Ken. But the interest in right-hander Freddy Peralta is so significant, the Milwaukee Brewers are now considering cracking the door open. That's the quote. For trade discussions, according to a person briefed on the situation. Both owner and GM said they were excited about their rotation after Woodruff accepted, blah, 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 blah. But if the Brewers get a strong offer for Peralta, they believe the veteran presence of Woodruff and their numerous other options could still leave them in position to contend in the Central, which I actually agree with. And it's not really because of Woodruff. It's because, per usual, they have a pretty good slew of other options between young and old. They do a pretty good job keeping the hopper pretty full. The Brewers undoubtedly would set a high bar for Peralta, ideally landing major league ready starting pitching as part of the return. It is possible no team would meet their price. But righty Dylan Cease commanded a 7-year, $210 million free agent contract, reduced to 184 in present day. I don't care. Peralta is the same age as Cease, 29, and is set to earn just $8 million in his final season before free agency. His trade value would be considerable, which I don't know. We can discuss that at length. We've discussed this before, but we can discuss it at length a different time. Without Peralta, the Brewers rotation would be Woodruff, Mizorowski, Priester. Other candidates would include Gasser, Patrick, Henderson, Tobias Myers. 2 relievers who could start, Aaron Ashby and DL. Yeah, that'll be the day. DL Hall can certainly round out the rotation. And possibly a pitcher they would acquire in the Peralta trade. The Brewers are obviously better with Peralta than without. Their best decision might be to keep him. Try to build on their 97-win campaign and make him a qualifying offer, ensuring draft pick compensation. The $8 million they would save by trading him might not be especially meaningful. The greater impact potentially would be the return. This is the part of the story that jumped out to me, because this is what I've been talking about. If the Brewers trade Freddy Peralta, everyone is going to rush to Twitter and to call Sports Talk Radio, which you should do, by the way. I'm not going to discourage that, to say, Mark Attanasio made him do it. He marched down to Matt Arnold's office and said, hey, Matt, too much money. Let's cut bait on $8 million here. Trade him away. And Matt Arnold goes, all right. Like, no. If Freddy Peralta gets dealt, it's because Matt Arnold believes in this churn, and he believes that I don't want to lose this asset for nothing, even if it's a pick, after we assume the qualifying offer would be rejected at the end of this upcoming season. Although with a lockout, who knows? He needs more coming in than going out. It's because Matt Arnold believes in it. And I'm glad that Ken Rosenthal, whether this is sourced or informed or whether he's just writing, in any event, I think he's right. The $8 million they would save by trading him might not be especially meaningful. The greater impact potentially would be the return. It's about incoming players and assets, not about outgoing payroll, which I agree with. If Freddie made $25 million, this might be a different conversation, but he's making $8 million, which is really affordable. Another option for the Brewers, as written previously, is create payroll flexibility by signing Woodruff to a multi-year extension at a lower average annual value, or negotiating a new 1-year deal for him that includes deferred money. There have been no substantive discussions on either possibility, a league source said. So while they could extend Woodruff or space that money out, they haven't talked about it. That to me is the thing. This move is only going to be done if they get good value, and the reason for doing it would be the return, not the money saved. That's going to be the backbone or the nexus of this whole thing. I also, this part of the story made me laugh. The Brewers would undoubtedly set a high bar for Peralta, ideally landing a major league ready starting pitcher as part of the return, which I can consider tweeting at Onabam or talking to him about this. Hey, Onabam, if the Brewers were to trade Freddy Peralta, what do you think they could get? Man, it's hard to know, but one would think like maybe a starting pitcher that's as good as Freddy Peralta, which if you get term back, I'm not even minimizing that as something that's useful. If you get a guy back who's got more control, like you get another Quinn Priester, maybe not as good as Freddie, although I think Freddie is good, not great, but you get someone who's younger and has more club control and maybe is pre-arb. There's value there. I just think it's funny. It's like, well, if we trade Freddy Peralta, we might just be able to get a starting pitcher who's as good as Freddy Peralta, as good as the guy we're getting rid of, who is a clubhouse pillar to boot, which I think is an important part of the story. We'll pick this up tomorrow. If Giannis is still a Buck, who knows? Good Lord. Bill Michaels Hot is coming up in a few minutes.